man, if you really think about it, we've been doing this since we was kids, we was babies, right? You remember falling, you watch your kids, they fall, right? And then as soon as if you say, "Oh my gosh, oh you okay, okay," they start crying, they start going crazy, and then stuff like that. But if you say, "Hey, just get up," or ignore them, they just like, "All right, cool," you know what I'm saying? Like, I just get up, you know what I mean? So we start like understanding how people's emotions work at a young age, and it's all ingrained with us. Only thing I think is important because he did make some valid points with understanding yourself. But if we are already doing that, because most guys will tell a woman like, "Hey, I'm a dog. You don't want me type of a guy like me," or you can kind of see what's going on. But I think we put too much thought into getting into a relationship rather than just getting there and really working the stuff out. Just make the deal, get in the relationship. Hey, all right, cool. She doesn't work. I remember Marcus a couple of shows ago was talking about he was looking for a certain type of woman. You just got to look for that certain type of woman and make sure that that woman fits what you got going on, and then we good. But we doing too much talking rather than action. And then once all the plans are drawn up, we got all these books, we got the architect and everything. But then when we start digging, we quit the job. So that I think that's what's going on in a lot of relationships, and that's not getting us to the next level.
All right. I am curious to hear what Marcus got to say since he brought your name up. Um, I was going to say something, but I got a feeling you're going to go against it. So I want to hear you first.
uh, so I think so. So I always said that all our external problems are a reflection of our internal struggles, right? So whatever you dealing with externally and how you deal with it is a direct reflection of what you're dealing with on the inside. If you having the best day in the world and somebody step on your shoes, you can play that off. But if you're having the worst day in the world, somebody step on your shoes, you're gonna extremely lash out. And knowing that about yourself, you can kind of cater to when because he said a couple things that I keyed in and it was pointed to me when he was talking about hacking. Like, so I try and do like a positivity hack to almost every situation I come into, but that's understanding where my mind is at, understanding the things that can affect me, things I should avoid, and part of that being like emotionally intelligent or whatever is it does start with yourself, because once you know like, hey, when they get to talking about this part of racism, that's gonna blow me. So I either engage in this conversation or remove myself from the conversation in a way that I don't feel like it's going to be bothersome to me. So it's prevention and foresight, knowing that it will go that way. Um, Making sure I measure my words so that I don't create a contentious situation where I'll be battling somebody and it can get to the point where violence can escalate. So he didn't just say within like dating relationships. So I was thinking about it. So from like 9 to 25, emotional intelligence for me was a form of survival because I was looking at everybody as threat or non-threat, threat or non-threat. And I would have, you got to really be able to read people to see, because sometimes people are backdoor you, sometimes people real shifty, sometimes XYZ. So, and really just studying people, I start really observing like the behaviors that they don't say and the energy that they carry. It speak volumes. Somebody shake your hand and don't feel like they want to shake your hand, it's because they really got some bullshit, like real bullshit for you, and you just don't know it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like real bullshit. And uh the next phase for me was when I got with a girl who uh actually tried to love me, and I wasn't in a position to be loved because I was emotionally devoid. I like was there, but I wasn't present. So all the good and shit she was doing for me, I couldn't accept it the right way because I wasn't reciprocating it because I didn't really know how. And I ended up ruining that relationship, right? And then from there, I took a year off and worked on myself. So when I knew exactly what I wanted from moving forward, so I knew what to look for and to find it. Because when you get treated by really well by somebody and you don't return that energy, if you have some self-reflection, you're gonna feel like a piece of shit. You're gonna be like, this person really was riding for me. This person was there for me. Did absolutely nothing to hurt me. And all I did was cheat. All I did was lie. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't because I was mad at that person or didn't like that person. It had everything to do with the way I view male and female relationships. If cheating the game, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get over on you before you get over on me. Kind of similar to how it sounds, how people in the space are currently. The problem is when you meet somebody that's actually going to be there for you, that's actually going to love you, operating in this space will ruin that relationship, and you may not get another chance to have that in your life. So uh All of that stuff comes with self-reflection though, taking personal accountability, seeing what you are responsible for and how you can alter the things you're responsible for. Yeah. But I think it could start at an early age or it could start tomorrow. It just depends on where you are in your journey in life.
I want to ask this question, and this may not be personally what you've experienced, but I'm thinking of a situation where, let's say, a marriage or engagement, a serious relationship, where one person may be more emotional intelligent than the other. And even though I know you said, James, that it should be simple, I do think that there are some people that just don't get it. You ever been talking to somebody and you feel so strong about your view on what's happening, and you're trying to let them know what it is, but they just not receiving it for some reason. They just either they receiving it and they don't want to budge, or they just don't get it. So then you find yourself, as Marcus said, having to adjust, understanding what those trigger words are, understanding how to get whatever it is you need to get to them for them to be able to receive it. But at some point in time, does it ever get draining, Marcus? Like, do you ever get tired of being like the bigger person, to being the one that's the most emotional intelligent, so to speak, in this situation? Like, how do you handle a relationship like that? Because it may be something that you thought was all good and it may have been discovered later on in the marriage. And so it might just be something, because sometimes chemicals do become imbalanced. And so somebody may be on track and all of a sudden something happened where it could be a death, or where it could be maybe a situation within the relationship and something that would just throw everything off. And so now you have to recalibrate what's currently happening and sort through it because you're too far in now. So
No,
how do you handle it?
that's great. Because that actually I could see happening. So I was talking about this before when I was saying I never fired nobody for what they did, the way their brain thought, right? So if I kind of understand the way you process information and the way that you come to a conclusion, then I can understand if this is just something that's a one-off, it's an action that happened in the moment, like a death, like a chemical imbalance, because this is completely outside of the way you come to your conclusion. Then it's something that could be worked on. But if it's the way you formulate thoughts and this was always going to be the end result of the way your brain process works, then it could be an issue. Like, so an example would be you trying to be there for somebody and they normally are very supportive of you. They normally like a fan. They want to share in your progress and success with you, right? And then now, just out the blue, they're depressed when you tell them good news and they don't want to, they can't cheer for you the right way. It might be something they really going through. And you could take, what I'm saying? You could take that with a grain of salt and help them work with it. But if anytime you have good news and you bring it to them, you feel like that it depresses them. Anytime something's going well for you, they're not happy for you or they're cheering against you. That's a way of thinking. That's somebody you got to get, you got to separate from until the day at a point where they can actually appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table. But you got to be able to read the signs and determine which one is, this is how that person thinks about things, or this is an instance that this person is thinking that way. You get what I'm saying? I hope I answered
Yeah,
that.
so JR, just to kind of add to that point, I think the emotional intelligence is the one part of it, right? But then for what you were explaining, you also need two more things. You need the willingness to want to help a person like that and the patience. So your emotional intelligence would be your understanding. So you know how to do it. But like you said, it could be draining. So you have to feel like what that person offers is worth it enough, how severe it is. So I spoke about this before, but the more damaged one person is, the more emotional intelligence you require and the more patience and willingness you require, because that's a lot of work, right? And there are some people who are just empaths who can, will never tire doing that because it's actually doing them a service as well. But not all of us are built like that. Most of us aren't. So it's pretty taxing sometimes when you're dealing with someone like Marcus is describing, where, you're bringing them good news and they just like, so what? Or what you mean? Like, it's some people who you can try to give a compliment to, not even a backhanded compliment, and they will take it as an insult. And you're like, damn. So you have to really dig in to try to understand where this person is from. And you find yourself patronizing them, right? And you're trying to patronize them in such a way where they don't notice that you're patronizing them, but you're just really trying to effectively communicate with them. So that could be taxing as hell.
I give a great example. I was gonna say JR because I was gonna say similar to what Trev had said, but it's kind of like you ever like took a quiz and you read the question and then you answered it and then you seen another question like later on down and then you was like, hold on, that reminded me of that question, and then you reread that question again and it was like, oh, that's what it was talking about. So a lot of times it can be a similar to that type of conversation, right? Because a lot of times people will confuse what you're saying or what you're doing, and you being a more intelligent, emotional intelligent person, you can look at her and say, hey, I see what's going on, or she can look at you and say, hey, you're not understanding what's going on. But you, like he said, you got to be patient and just teach her, hey, this is how you read the question. You read it in this way. No, you're supposed to be reading it like that. And they might have some pushback at the beginning, but later on, once they start seeing, okay, I got success with this. Okay, yeah, I got the answer right. All right, cool. And then eventually you won't have that problem no more, the issue.
Look, to tap on the Trev and James point, I'm sorry, Jay, just real quick, to tap on the day point, it's ironic because Trev said that in order to heal, like when somebody has severe trauma, it's going to require an extremely patient person to give a whole lot of grace and work through all of this stuff. In the dating world, the weird thing about that is the people who have the tool set to actually get there can demand a higher price, so they won't even have to deal with the person with all of that trauma, as opposed to the people who have all the trauma needing to deal with another person who has that trauma. And it creates a negative cyclical loop of them fighting each other and getting a constant toxic type of relationships. It's ironic that it actually works that way. So when I be saying that every woman can be fixed, and it depends on the type of patience, grace, and skill set you have in order to fix and sift through all of that trauma and get that person to the root cause. And most people don't have it. Most people, and the people that do have it, 9 times out of 10, are emotionally intelligent enough to see key indicators in people and avoid those people. Like there are a lot of good people out here, men and women. It's a lot of great men and there's a lot of great women out here. They have indicators and they see people and avoid you. If you're not coming in contact with great people, it's a good chance they are avoiding you. They see you for who you are and avoid you. I just need you to understand what I'm saying. If you see somebody that's going to be begging when you get out the car, they don't have to ask you for money before you go the other way if you don't want to speak to them. If you see somebody driving crazy on the street and they like, damn, the crazy driver got a clear path. It's because people get to the left lane and get out your way. It works that same way with good and great people. When you operating in good energy and great energy, you want to attract people in that same energy. And the people that don't see you coming across them is because your energy is repelling them and they can see that from a mile away. So that's why, like if you operate in positivity seems to find you. And it's the same with negativity. It's the exact same with negativity.